Sandra Bullock, renowned for her charm and wit, had been invited to a special episode of Insight with David Mitchell, a talk show notorious for its sharp and often controversial interviews. The anticipation in the studio was palpable as the audience settled into their seats, ready for what they thought would be another delightful interview with America's sweetheart. Sandra walked onto the set, her presence commanding the room as she greeted the audience with a warm smile. She wore an elegant emerald green dress that flowed effortlessly as she moved. Her dark hair was styled in soft waves, framing her face beautifully. The studio lights glimmered off her dress, adding to the ethereal aura she seemed to carry. David Mitchell, the host, was known for his piercing questions and unyielding demeanor. He sat at his desk, eyes glinting with a mixture of curiosity and determination. He had a stack of question cards before him, each meticulously crafted to probe deeper into his guest's life and career. Tonight, however, David had a particularly edgy agenda. As Sandra took her seat opposite David, the atmosphere in the studio shifted. The usual warmth of a celebrity interview was replaced with a tense expectancy. David's reputation for breaking down even the most poised of celebrities loomed large over the proceedings. The audience, sensing the tension, hushed their excited chatter to an anticipatory silence. David leaned forward, his fingers tapping the edge of his question cards. He started with a seemingly innocent question about Sandra's latest movie project, allowing the audience to relax slightly. But as the interview progressed, his questions became more pointed, his tone more accusatory. "You've played the lovable, quirky characters for most of your career," David began, his voice dripping with subtle condescension. "Don't you think it's time to admit you're not capable of serious, dramatic roles?" Sandra's eyes flickered with a momentary surprise, but she quickly composed herself. She smiled, the same disarming smile that had won her millions of fans. "It's interesting you say that, David. Comedy, making people laugh and feel joy, is just as challenging as drama. It requires a different kind of emotional depth and connection with the audience." David's smirk faltered for a second. He was used to celebrities getting defensive or flustered, but Sandra was neither. She was calm, collected, and confident in her response. The audience, too, seemed to rally behind her, nodding in agreement and giving her a supportive round of applause. But David wasn't done. He shuffled his cards, his eyes narrowing as he prepared his next question. "You're over 50 now, Sandra, in an industry that idolizes youth. Aren't you worried about becoming irrelevant? How many roles are there for aging romantic comedy stars?" The question hung in the air, and for a moment, the studio was silent. Sandra took a deep breath, her expression thoughtful. "Aging is like watching the colors of a sunset," she replied softly. "Every phase brings new beauty and depth. I'm not just an actress, I'm a storyteller. And stories aren't bound by age. They're enriched by experience." The audience erupted in applause, moved by her wisdom and poise. David's face reddened slightly, but he wasn't ready to back down. He leaned forward, his voice taking on a sharper edge. "Let's talk about your personal life. Failed relationships, adoption controversies, constant media scrutiny. Don't you think your personal choices reflect poorly on you as a mother?" The room fell into a stunned silence. It was a low blow, even by David's standards. Sandra's eyes glistened momentarily, but she didn't waver. "David," she began, her voice steady, "we're quick to judge others without understanding their journey. Love, family, it comes in many forms. My children know they're loved deeply and unconditionally. That, to me, is the greatest success." The impact of her words was immediate. The audience, many with tears in their eyes, applauded her resilience and grace. David, however, was visibly unsettled. He had one last card to play, his final attempt to break through Sandra's composed exterior. David leaned back, trying to regain his composure. "Sandra, what will people remember about you? In 50 years, will anyone even know your name? What legacy are you leaving behind?" The question was harsh, but Sandra met it with a serene smile. Legacy isn't about how many people remember your name, she said. It's about the lives you've touched, the joy you've brought, and the love you've given. Even if just for a moment, making someone's day a little brighter, that's a legacy worth leaving. David's confident facade crumbled. The audience watched, captivated, as Sandra's words resonated deeply. Tears streamed down several faces, and even David seemed visibly moved. For the first time in his career, he was at a loss for words. Sandra leaned forward, her voice gentle yet firm. Our actions, our kindness, that's what truly defines our legacy. It's never too late to choose compassion and make a difference. The studio was silent, the weight of her words hanging in the air. David, no longer the intimidating interviewer, looked humbled. He glanced at his scattered cards and then at Sandra, a new understanding dawning in his eyes. The studio atmosphere had completely transformed. The harsh spotlight that once felt like an interrogation lamp now bathed both Sandra and David in a softer, almost healing glow. The tension that had filled the air had dissolved, replaced by something profound and unexpected. David Mitchell sat quietly, still visibly shaken. His question cards lay scattered and forgotten on the table between them. The man who had entered the studio as a predator now looked humbled, almost childlike in his vulnerability. He dabbed at his eyes with his pocket square, no longer concerned about maintaining his intimidating image. Sandra's presence had shifted too. The defensive posture she needed earlier had melted into something more nurturing. She looked at David with genuine compassion, the kind of understanding that comes from someone who has faced their own battles and emerged stronger, not bitter. You know, she said softly, breaking the weighted silence. Sometimes the strongest thing we can do is put down our armor. Success isn't about how many people we can knock down. It's about how many we can lift up along the way. The audience, who had been holding their collective breath, released a gentle sigh. Many were wiping away tears. A young woman in the front row clutched her heart, deeply moved. Even the cameramen, veterans of countless emotional interviews, were visibly affected. David finally found his voice, though it was hardly above a whisper. I never thought about it that way. His admission hung in the air, honest and raw. The cameras were still rolling, capturing this unprecedented moment of transformation. What began as an attempt to tear down a Hollywood icon had become a masterclass in grace, wisdom, and the power of choosing kindness over cruelty. The screen began to fade to black, but before it did, a final message appeared. Life isn't about the battles we win, but the hearts we touch along the way. Soft, reflective music played in the background as the scene gently closed. The message lingered for a moment longer before being replaced by a simple request. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, comment, and share. Remember, kindness costs nothing, but its impact can last forever. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us of our shared humanity. As the moments passed, the atmosphere in the studio continued to evolve. It was no longer just an interview, it had transformed into an unspoken dialogue about life, resilience, and the human spirit. David, visibly moved, struggled to find his footing. The man who had built a career on breaking down others was now experiencing a profound shift in his own perspective. The audience, sensing the gravity of the moment, remained silent and attentive. It was as if they were witnessing something sacred, a rare glimpse into the vulnerability of a man who had always been seen as unshakable. Sandra, ever composed, leaned back slightly in her chair, her eyes still fixed on David. She had no intention of humiliating him. She understood the importance of empathy and connection. David, she began softly, life has a way of teaching us lessons in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes, the very people we set out to challenge end up challenging us in return. David nodded slowly, his mind racing with thoughts. He had never been on this side of the table, the side where introspection and self-awareness took precedence over bravado and deflection. The realization hit him like a wave, washing away years of built-up defenses. Sandra's voice broke through his reverie. I've been in the public eye for a long time, and I've faced my share of challenges. But it's these very challenges that have shaped me, made me who I am today. It's easy to judge from the outside, but true understanding comes from experiencing life's ups and downs firsthand. The audience, captivated by her words, leaned in closer. Sandra's authenticity resonated deeply, touching the hearts of everyone present. She continued, her tone gentle yet firm. In the end, it's not about the fame or the accolades. It's about the impact we have on others, the kindness we show, and the love we give. That's what truly matters. David's eyes glistened with unshed tears. He had always prided himself on being the tough interviewer, the one who could make celebrities squirm. But now, in this moment, he realized that there was more to life than just the pursuit of controversy and sensationalism. Sandra's words had planted a seed in his heart, a seed of self-reflection and growth. He looked at her, his expression one of genuine gratitude. "Thank you, Sandra," he said, his voice trembling slightly. "Thank you for reminding me of what's truly important." The studio was filled with a palpable sense of transformation. The cameras captured every moment, every tear, and every heartfelt word. It was a moment that would be remembered for years to come, a moment that transcended the boundaries of a simple talk show interview. Sandra smiled warmly, her eyes reflecting the depth of her compassion. "It's never too late to choose a different path, David. We all have the power to change, to become better versions of ourselves. It starts with a single step." David nodded, a newfound determination settling in his heart. He had been given a gift, a chance to redefine his legacy. The audience, sensing the significance of the moment, erupted into applause. It was a standing ovation, a collective acknowledgement of the profound impact of Sandra's words. As the applause died down, David took a deep breath and looked out at the audience. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady and sincere, "tonight, we've witnessed something truly remarkable. We've seen the power of kindness, the strength of resilience, and the beauty of the human spirit. Let's carry this message with us, not just tonight, but every day. Let's strive to be better, to lift each other up, and to create a world filled with compassion and understanding." The audience cheered once more, their hearts full of hope and inspiration. Sandra Bullock had not only transformed an interview, she had ignited a movement, a call to action for everyone watching. David turned to Sandra, his eyes filled with respect and admiration. "Thank you, Sandra, for being a beacon of light in a world that often feels dark. You've reminded us all of the importance of kindness and empathy. We are forever grateful." Sandra's smile radiated warmth and sincerity. "Thank you, David, for giving me the opportunity to share this message. Together, we can make a difference. One act of kindness at a time." The studio lights dimmed as the cameras continued to roll, capturing the final moments of an unforgettable evening. The audience slowly began to file out, their hearts touched by the powerful exchange they had witnessed. As they left the studio, they carried with them a renewed sense of purpose, a commitment to spreading kindness and compassion in their own lives. The episode of Insight with David Mitchell would go down in history as one of the most transformative interviews ever aired. It was a testament to the power of words, the impact of empathy, and the enduring strength of the human spirit. David Mitchell, once known for his ruthless interviews, would become a symbol of change, a reminder that it's never too late to choose a different path. And Sandra Bullock, ever graceful and wise, would continue to inspire millions with her words and actions. In the end, it wasn't about the controversy or the headlines. It was about the hearts that were touched, the lives that were changed, and the legacy of kindness that was left behind. As the studio began to empty, David and Sandra remained seated, the weight of their exchange settling in. The producer, watching from the control room, decided to keep the cameras rolling, sensing that there was more to capture. The raw, unfiltered emotions of the moment were too powerful to cut short. David cleared his throat, trying to regain some semblance of composure. "Sandra," he began, his voice still shaky, "I've spent my career believing that tough questions and controversy were the only ways to get to the truth. But tonight, you've shown me a different path. You've shown me that kindness and empathy can be just as powerful, if not more so." Sandra nodded, her expression softening even further. "It's never too late to change, David. We all have the capacity for growth and transformation. What matters is that we recognize our mistakes and take steps to become better." The studio crew, who had been quietly packing up their equipment, paused to listen. The gravity of the conversation had drawn them in, and they couldn't help but be moved by the sincerity of the exchange. David took a deep breath, his eyes reflecting a newfound sense of clarity. "I want to do better," he admitted. "I want to use my platform to uplift, to inspire, rather than to tear down. I see now that true success isn't measured by how many people we've bested, but by how many lives we've touched." Sandra smiled, a genuine, heartfelt smile that lit up her entire face. "That's a beautiful realization, David. And it's one that can have a lasting impact. Imagine the ripple effect of spreading kindness and empathy through your platform. You have the power to create positive change, to leave a legacy that truly matters." David nodded, his heart swelling with a sense of purpose he hadn't felt in years. The audience, who had been lingering in the aisles, began to file out, their hearts full of hope and inspiration. They had witnessed something extraordinary, something that went beyond the typical boundaries of a talk show. As the final members of the audience exited the studio, David and Sandra stood up, sharing a moment of mutual respect. "Thank you, Sandra," David said, his voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you for opening my eyes and showing me a better way." Sandra reached out and gave him a warm hug, a gesture of genuine connection and understanding. "You're welcome, David. Remember, it's never too late to choose kindness and make a difference. I'm proud of you." The cameras captured this final moment, a powerful image of reconciliation and growth. It was a fitting conclusion to an evening that had defied expectations and touched the hearts of everyone who had watched. As they walked off the set together, the studio lights dimmed, leaving behind an atmosphere charged with possibility. The episode would go down in history as a turning point, not just for David Mitchell, but for everyone who had been a part of it. It was a reminder that even in a world often obsessed with conflict and sensationalism, there was still room for compassion, empathy, and genuine human connection. In the days that followed, the episode went viral, garnering millions of views and sparking conversations around the globe. People were inspired by Sandra's wisdom and David's transformation, and many took to social media to share their own stories of choosing kindness over cruelty. David received countless messages of support and encouragement, as well as some well-deserved criticism for his past behavior. He took it all to heart, using the feedback as a catalyst for further personal growth. He began to incorporate more positive and uplifting content into his show, inviting guests who had made a difference in their communities and highlighting stories of resilience and hope. Sandra, too, continued to inspire with her work, using her platform to advocate for causes close to her heart. She received numerous invitations to speak at events and conferences, where she shared her message of empathy and compassion. Her words resonated deeply with audiences, leaving a lasting impact on all who heard her speak. Together, Sandra and David became symbols of transformation and the power of kindness. Their story served as a reminder that it's never too late to change, to choose a different path, and to leave a positive legacy. The world watched as their journey unfolded, and in doing so, many were inspired to embark on their own journeys of growth and transformation. The episode of Insight with David Mitchell became a touchstone for those seeking to make a difference in their own lives and the lives of others. It was a testament to the enduring strength of the human spirit and the boundless potential for positive change. The impact of the interview rippled far beyond the studio walls. News outlets and social media buzzed with reactions, the overwhelming majority of which were positive. People from all walks of life shared their own stories of kindness and transformation, inspired by Sandra Bullock's wisdom and David Mitchell's unexpected journey of self-discovery. David Mitchell found himself inundated with messages from viewers around the world. Some were from fans expressing their newfound respect for him, while others were from individuals sharing how the interview had inspired them to choose kindness in their own lives. David, once known for his ruthless approach, began to embrace this new direction. He started to reevaluate his approach to journalism and interviewing. He spent hours reading the messages, reflecting on the impact of his words and actions. The realization that he had the power to uplift and inspire was both humbling and exhilarating. He began to envision a new chapter for his show, one that focused on meaningful conversations and positive change. Sandra Bullock, too, received an outpouring of support and admiration. Her social media accounts were flooded with messages from fans who were moved by her grace and wisdom. Many expressed their gratitude for her willingness to speak openly about her experiences and the lessons she had learned along the way. In the weeks that followed, both Sandra and David continued to make appearances on various platforms, spreading their message of kindness and empathy. They spoke at conferences, participated in panel discussions, and engaged with their audiences in ways that went beyond the typical celebrity interactions. David's show underwent a transformation. He introduced new segments that highlighted acts of kindness and stories of resilience. He invited guests who had made a difference in their communities, giving them a platform to share their experiences and inspire others. The show's ratings soared, not because of controversy, but because of the genuine connections and uplifting content. One particularly memorable episode featured a young woman named Maria, who had started a community garden project in her neighborhood. David listened intently as she shared her journey, the challenges she faced, and the impact the garden had on bringing people together. The audience was captivated by Maria's story, and many were inspired to start similar initiatives in their own communities. Sandra continued to advocate for causes close to her heart, using her platform to raise awareness and drive positive change. She partnered with various organizations to support initiatives focused on education, mental health, and environmental sustainability. Her dedication and passion resonated deeply with her fans, further solidifying her legacy as not just an actress, but a force for good in the world. As time went on, the initial interview between Sandra and David became a touchstone for many. It was revisited in articles, documentaries, and discussions about the power of kindness and the importance of empathy. The interview served as a reminder that even in the face of adversity, choosing compassion could lead to profound transformation. David and Sandra remained connected, their bond forged in the crucible of that unforgettable evening. They collaborated on various projects, each bringing their unique perspectives and strengths to the table. Their partnership was a testament to the idea that true success lay not in competition, but in collaboration and mutual support. The impact of their story continued to grow, touching lives and inspiring change in ways they could never have imagined. It was a legacy built on a foundation of kindness, a beacon of hope in a world often divided by conflict and strife. In the end, it wasn't just about the interview. It was about the hearts that were touched, the lives that were changed, and the enduring message that kindness, empathy, and understanding could transform the world. As the weeks turned into months, the impact of that unforgettable interview continued to reverberate. David Mitchell's show had undergone a profound transformation. No longer focused on sensationalism and controversy, it had become a platform for stories of resilience, kindness, and the human spirit. Viewers tuned in, not for the spectacle, but for the genuine connections and inspiring narratives that had become the show's hallmark. David himself had changed. He approached each interview with a newfound sense of empathy and understanding. He listened more, interrupted less, and sought to highlight the positive contributions of his guests. The shift in his approach did not go unnoticed. Viewers, guests, and colleagues alike began to see him in a different light. His reputation as a ruthless interviewer was replaced by one of a compassionate storyteller. Sandra Bullock, too, continued to make waves. Her words during the interview had left an indelible mark on countless lives. She received letters and messages from people all over the world, sharing how her message of kindness and resilience had inspired them to make positive changes in their own lives. She became a sought-after speaker, invited to share her insights at conferences, schools, and events. One particularly memorable event took place at a high school in a small town. Sandra was invited to speak to the students about the importance of kindness and empathy. As she stood on the stage, looking out at the eager faces, she felt a deep sense of purpose. She shared her journey, her challenges, and the lessons she had learned. The students listened intently, hanging on to every word. After her speech, a young girl approached her, tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Ms. Bullock," she said, her voice trembling. "Your words have given me hope. I've been struggling with bullying and feeling like I don't belong. But you've shown me that kindness matters, and that I can make a difference, even in small ways." Sandra hugged the girl, offering words of encouragement and support. It was moments like these that reminded her of the true power of her platform. It wasn't about the fame or the accolades, it was about the impact she could have on others. Meanwhile, David continued to receive messages of gratitude and support from his viewers. One message, in particular, stood out. It was from a man who had been struggling with depression and had found solace in the stories shared on David's show. "Your show has given me hope and a reason to keep going," the man wrote. "Thank you for reminding me of the goodness in the world." David was deeply moved by the message. It reinforced his commitment to using his platform for good, to uplift and inspire rather than tear down. He realized that his legacy would be defined not by the controversies he had once thrived on, but by the positive impact he could have on others. As the years went by, the interview between Sandra and David became a touchstone for many. It was referenced in articles, documentaries, and discussions about the power of kindness and the importance of empathy. It served as a reminder that even in a world often divided by conflict and strife, there was always room for compassion and understanding. Sandra and David's paths continued to intersect. They collaborated on various projects, each bringing their unique perspectives and strengths to the table. Their partnership was a testament to the idea that true success lay not in competition, but in collaboration and mutual support. Their story continued to inspire, touching lives and sparking positive change in ways they could never have imagined. It was a legacy built on a foundation of kindness, a beacon of hope in a world that often seemed dark. In the end, it wasn't just about the interview. It was about the hearts that were touched, the lives that were changed, and the enduring message that kindness, empathy, and understanding could transform the world. It was a legacy that would be remembered for generations to come, a testament to the power of choosing light over darkness. And so, the story of Sandra Bullock and David Mitchell became a timeless reminder that even in the face of adversity, choosing compassion and kindness could lead to profound transformation. It was a story that resonated deeply, a story that reminded us all of the enduring strength of the human spirit.